What shows come to your head when I ask what are the most culturally significant TV shows of all time? For a lot of you, I'm guessing it will be things like Breaking Bad, Star Trek, The Simpsons, The Sopranos, Friends, Game of Thrones, etc. But what if I told you, you're not just wrong, you're stupid, because they've all been outdone by one little show that released in 2009 and would go on to change the lives of all that witnessed it. And that show is, of course, yeah, today we're going to be taking a look back at one of the most insane TV shows of all time. And if you've seen Glee, you'll know what I'm talking about. But if you haven't, well, I think you're in for a treat, we'll put it that way. But what is Glee? Well, on paper, it's a fairly bog-standard 2000s teen drama musical, which tells the story of an Ohio high school's Glee club. But take that paper away, and I'd describe it as High School Musical if High School Musical was on drugs. Okay, that doesn't really make any sense. But what I'm trying to say is it's mental, okay? Genuinely the craziest TV show I have ever watched. And you might be a Glee fan watching this thinking, I'm going to be hating on it. But no, okay, I love it. If I had to compare it to anything that's out nowadays, the only thing I can think of is The Boys, obviously a completely different genre. Well, sort of. Because if you've ever watched The Boys, you'll know it's crazy. Glee is somehow crazier. So let's actually watch it. Let's watch all 22 episodes of season 1 of Glee and recount all the craziest moments as well as telling the age-old story of Glee season 1.
Who is Josh Groban? Kill yourself!
Episode 1, Pilot. Okay, so episode 1, the pilot episode, kicks off with...
You think this is hard? Try being waterboarded.
Right. So this is Sue Sylvester, and she is the antagonist of the series. She's the coach of the school's cheerleading team. She's super successful at it, but also isn't very nice. But then we quickly move away from her and see the supposed protagonist, Will Schuester, a Spanish teacher, and spoiler alert, the creepiest character in TV history, and also he just blatantly ignores a student getting bullied. Okay, so we briefly met those two characters, but as I mentioned at the beginning, this show is about the school's Glee Club, so what's it currently like? Well, this is the current head of the Glee Club, Sandy Rarson, and he's giving a singing lesson, and well... yeah, this student Rachel, who is the sort of Gabriella of the story, the female lead, shall we say, sees Sandy's, groping, snitches, and Sandy gets fired. So guess what? Mr. Will Schuester, well, he used to be in the school's Glee Club and dreams of those days once again, so he applies to take over Sandy's vacant position. The school's head teacher Figgins agrees for now. However, if the club doesn't place at regionals, they won't be able to use the auditorium as Alcoholics Anonymous need the space. But before we move on from that, what is regionals? I've just said they need to place at regionals to keep the auditorium, so what is regionals? So it's where Glee clubs compete in shows against other schools, and it all begins with sectionals, so basically round 1, and this is competing against schools in, say, the same town as you. Then if you win that, you move on to round 2, regionals, which, yes, as the name suggests, is against schools in your region, so say state. And then if you win regionals, you move on to the final round, round 3, nationals, where, yes, you compete to be the best high school Glee club in the country. So how does this relate to Will's Glee Club? So in order to survive, they have to win sectionals and then place at regionals, which means come at least second or better. But anyway, back to the plot. So the club obviously needs members, and so Will runs auditions, and we're introduced to the initial cast of the Glee Club. And drumroll please. The initial members are
Rachel Berry,
the star who has 2 gay dads and posts daily singing clips on her MySpace.
Mercedes Jones,
not really sure how to describe her, but she might be better than Rachel at singing, but never gets any opportunities to show it.
Kurt Hummel,
Never even knew.
Horrible bit of singing there, but he's the gay guy, although he hasn't told anyone yet, and also he was the one getting put in the dumpster at the start.
Tina Chang, she has a stutter, that's about it.
And last but not least,
Artie Abrams, the wheelchair guy who looks like Stingy from Lazytown.
So yeah, only 5 members, not a great start. But why only 5? Well, basically being in Glee Club is considered at the school the lowest of the lows in terms of social ranks, and if you're in it, you're probably going to get slushied. This slushing thing happens a lot, so we're going to keep a slushy count on the side. Anyway, the initial cast perform for the first time and are terrible, and Rachel goes off in a strop and tells Will she needs a strong male lead to go alongside her. Okay, we're now introduced to the best character, Will's wife and childhood sweetheart, Terry Schuster, who works at this shop, Sheets and Things.
Well, I'm on my feet 4 hours a day, 3 times a week here. Now I have to go home and I have to cook dinner for myself?
She lives a tough life, and we find out that Will and Terry are actually trying to have a baby, but who's that?
Sandy? Hey. Well, hello.
So Sandy reveals he's depressed and been put on medication, and what medication? Medical marijuana, and so now he's a drug dealer, as his doctor gives him as much as he wants, and he now makes 5 times more than he did when he was a teacher, so great to know that groping gets you a better life. Is that the message here? Anyway, Sandy gives Will his drug dealing business card. Remember that. But anyway, back to the Glee Club. So obviously they only have 5 members at the moment, and you actually have to have at least 12 to compete in any competitions. So Will asks Sue if any of the cheerleaders would consider joining, and she says no. He then asks the football team as well, and again, no one signs up. But then Will hears this in the boys' showers. So what would be the normal thing for a teacher to do in this situation? Maybe wait outside the changing room and go tell the kid after he's got a great voice and he should consider joining Glee. Well, that's not Will Schuster for you. Instead, he does the incredibly normal thing of looking at the naked teenager showering, planting the weed business card on him, and then threatening him with detention that would stay on his permanent record if he doesn't join the Glee Club. Wow. Well, I'm lost for words. That is how you be a responsible teacher. But obviously this plan does work, and this guy Finn joins Glee and Rachel has her strong male lead. Anyway, the club decide they're going to do some research this weekend and watch a rival club perform, but this means Finn is going to have to miss football practice, and his best friend Puck questions him why, and Finn comes up with this genius excuse.
My mom, well, she had to have her prostate out. Man, that's a tough break.
But football coach Ken isn't happy at the fact his star player is missing training for Glee and complains. However, we learn he actually doesn't care at all about the football team, and the reason he's actually angry is because he's in love with this teacher, Emma, but this teacher, Emma, likes Will. But back to the Glee Club. So now Rachel has her hot male lead, and she says to him, well, it's kind of expected that the male lead and the female lead get together, but Finn says he's already got a girlfriend, Quinn Fabray, captain of the cheerleaders and president of the celibacy club. Yeah, a celibacy club exists at this high school. Is that a thing? And then Will randomly says this.
Terry rides me hard, and I've always appreciated it.
But anyway, the Glee Club go on that trip to see their competition, and afterwards, as they're leaving, Puck appears and confronts Finn for lying.
Chicks don't have prostates. I looked it up.
So Puck does the highly reasonable thing of getting his friends to do the slightly illegal thing of paintballing him, which, oh my, what, that would hurt like hell. But we'll move away from that and on to the first big development. Will gets home and Terry has champagne and news.
I'm pregnant.
Wow, I'm so happy. I'm sure nothing bad will happen from this. Anyway, with all the extra financial responsibilities of a child, Will tells the Glee Club he's handed in his 2 weeks notice to become an accountant. So yes, the Glee Club is already basically finished, just 30 minutes in. Wow, I guess this is going to be a short series then. And all this obviously means Finn doesn't now have to be in the Glee Club, so Puck gives him a welcome back present. What a kind thing to do, until you remember, it's Puck.
We got that wheelchair kid inside. We're gonna flip it.
Isn't that kind of dangerous?
He's already in a wheelchair. Come on, dude, we saved you the first role.
Yeah, it's Artie trapped in a portaloo, and Finn gets first dibs at rolling it over. Thankfully, Finn doesn't do this. Well, I mean, it would have been kind of funny, but he lets Artie out, and then, whoa, comes the realization he likes Glee. And you know what? He's going to make it work. He's going to do Glee and football, even if that makes him uncool. But remember, Will's still leaving. So the heartbroken Emma, who remember likes him, shows him a tape of when he was at Nationals. And he says it was the greatest moment of his life, but he still has to provide for his family. And so he walks off into the distance. But as he does, he overhears this classic in the auditorium.
Just a small town girl.
Absolute banger. When I think of Glee, I think of this. Well, you know, along with the several crimes against humanity, but I think of this.
Good, guys. It's a 9. We need a 10. Rachel, you need to hit the 1s and the 5s. Finn, I think if we worked on it, you could hit a high B.
So cringy, like, you just had to ruin it, Will. You just had to ruin it. But whatever, Will is staying, and that is episode 1. Not that mental, really, in the grand scheme of things, but a good episode to set the scene. Episode 2, Showmance. So with Finn and Will staying, everyone in Glee is now super optimistic, although Will once again ignores Kurt being blatantly bullied. That's Will for you. Sue then calls Will in to see her, and we haven't really seen much of Sue yet, but trust me, we will be seeing a lot more of her.
Iron tablet? Keeps your strength up while you're menstruating.
Now, remember in episode 1 where I said Sue is the antagonist of the series? Well, this is because she doesn't like Will, understandably, and she wants to keep her Cheerios as the top dogs at school. So the Cheerios are the cheerleading club, and so this means she basically wants to destroy the Glee club. This school is clearly incapable of employing normal teachers, but that does mean we get quotes like this.
You can fetch me Gatorade and launder my soiled delicates.
Yeah. Anyway, Quinn then tells Finn if he quits Glee, he can touch her breast over her bra, and somehow he declines that amazing offer. But then Will, in an attempt to get more members, decides the Glee club are going to perform Freak Out in front of the school, and Finn, well, he's panicking.
I'm dead.
Away from that, the new happy family go house hunting.
It's always been my personal dream to cut down my own Christmas tree. How many Christmas trees will we have in the backyard?
And Terry, along with her Christmas tree dream, tells Will they have to buy a brand new house or else, because she could never raise a son in a used house. Ugh.
This is where our daughter or gay son will sleep.
So with this newfound inspiration, Will then, oh my god, goes to the Glee club and performs some Kanye, and yes, he automatically assumes Mercedes knows the song.
Get down, girl, go ahead, get down.
But anyway, seeing as Will isn't becoming an accountant anymore, he asks Figgins for the nighttime janitorial slot for half salary, and Figgins says yes. Is that legal? Again, probably not. And then it's time for our first meeting at the Celibacy Club. Whoa. And guess what? Rachel has joined in an attempt to get closer to Finn. The boys then do have a somewhat productive conversation, I guess, about how to not arrive early, and we find out Finn, well, he has a bit of a problem with that, and the only thing that stops him from, you know, is this.
Driving's fun.
Yeah, you know, that funny old time when he killed someone. What? Yeah, and they never mention that again, so okay. But the boys and the girls finally come together and have a lovely practice session, which involves humping a balloon in between them.
Yeah.
What? Finn!
It must have hit my zipper.
Seems like a pretty great club they've got there. Anyway, Will then has his first janitor shift, and he continues his trend of being a really great guy because he bumps into Emma and he puts some chalk on her nose. Yeah, he has a child on the way and he's doing stuff like this.
Okay.
Oh, and then Emma starts dating Ken. Anyway, Rachel, thanks to her session with the Celibacy Club, realises what the Glee Club can do at the assembly to win people over. Not freak out, but sex. I mean, this show is crazy, but obviously not actual sex. And instead, it's this. But somehow, everyone loves it. Well, I say everyone, not Sue, not Will, and not Figgins. And Figgins now says the Glee Club can only perform pre-approved songs from church. Oh, and then another really nice guy moment, this time from Finn, because he goes for a picnic with Rachel in the hall, and they have a moment until...
Did I do something wrong?
Right. Anyway, Terry goes for a pregnancy checkup and...
Don't quite know how to put this. There's no baby.
Did it fall out?
No.
Yeah, Terry's not actually pregnant. She's having a hysterical pregnancy where her body mimics the symptoms because she wants one so bad. Oh well, I'm sure Will understand, right?
I went to the baby doctor today.
And?
And it's a boy.
Terry! Why? What the hell are you going to do in 9 months when you don't have a human come out of you? Right, Willie's going to catch on, surely. Right? But in her panic to try and make the situation better, she says they don't need a new house now, and this means Will doesn't have to be a janitor anymore. Jesus Christ. Anyway, another little plot twist as the Cheerios, Quinn, Santana, and Brittany try out for the Glee Club. A bit random, you might think, seeing as everyone hates them, but it's because Quinn wants to keep her eye on Finn and Rachel. And obviously, seeing as there's only 6 members, they get in. But what's Sue gonna say about this? Well, surprisingly, she doesn't mind. Why? because she tells them to be her spies. Episode 3, Acapellas. So we kick the episode off with the hole for Terry being dug even deeper as Will reveals to his parents she's pregnant.
Terry's pregnant. It's a boy.
Anyway, Glee need a new choreographer according to Quinn, but why is the spy trying to help them out? Well, she's not. She's actually trying to get them to employ a guy who's really strict and that will make them all quit. But one problem, he's gonna cost $8,000. Oh, and then look who it is. Sandy's back on campus and says this.
I told Figgins that you are going to have a school full of Nancys unless you get some hot wood in those teenagers' hands.
Yeah, I don't really know what to say about that. We're then introduced to Henri, who's returned to school after he got addicted to cough medicine and cut off his thumbs. Anyway, the 5 guys all say they're unhappy and so decide to do this.
For he's a jolly good fellow, for he's the jolly good fellow.
What the hell? But after that, they're like, we're pretty good, and create their own boy band, the Acapellas. Oh, but Sandy is voted out of the group because it's creepy with them in it. I mean, it's kind of creepy anyway, but I love them. But I don't exactly love what comes next. So Terry is now desperate to cover her tracks and get pregnant. So, yeah.
I'll be right in.
I hope so.
And Will thinks he's getting all this extra attention because he's joined a boy band.
It was amazing. I mean, we started doing it once a week.
Anyway, 2 members from the club we haven't really seen, Mercedes and Kurt, both get sad seeing everyone else kissing, and they talk about how they want to kiss someone, and so now Mercedes has a crush on Kurt. But back to the Acapellas, who hit their first performance, and it slays.
How do you know?
Me and the crew used to do her.
It slays so much, Will's parents managed to sell 17 copies of their CD.
I didn't even have to show any of them my bosoms.
But anyway, Figgins was there and he now wants them to perform at a PTA meeting, and they got an amazing review in the local paper. They even called Will the next Michael Bublé. All this praise though means Sandy really wants back in and says he can get Josh Groban to come to the PTA.
Josh Groban.
Who is Josh Groban?
Who is Josh Groban? Kill yourself!
Iconic line. But how does Sandy know Josh Groban? Well, he says they're apparently pen pals now, and despite the fact he abused a child, they let him back in. Kurt then looks like a beef eater. But then, with the PTA fast approaching, the Acafellas start crumbling as Howard calls to say he's out of the group. Oh my guy. And then, even worse, Henri is in the emergency room because he's down 6 bottles of cough syrup. Oh god. But guess who comes to the rescue? Yes, in an incredibly random turn of events, Puck and Finn join the Acafellas. Well, I say it's random, it's actually because Puck wants to get it on with the mums watching. Anyway, if you remember back to the start of the episode, Glee wanted that new choreographer, and to raise the $8,000 to get him, they decide to clean cars, and this is the perfect opportunity for Mercedes to ask out Kurt. But well, Kurt is obviously gay, so he says no, and so Mercedes freaks out and throws a rock through the window of his car and starts singing. And what is Kurt doing in the background while she's doing this? But somehow through this car washing, they do save up enough for the mini Elton John guy, and in his first session, he gives them a new diet, kicks out Artie and Mercedes, and suggests a nose job for Rachel. So they immediately fire him, so that whole plot line was pointless. Anyway, the new look Acafellas are ready for their big performance, and Sandy says Josh Groban actually showed up, so now the pressure is on, and they perform.
Tick-tock, you don't stop. Stop to the I know you're not gonna sing that song.
Amazing, we love it, slay. And oh my gosh, Josh Groban goes to see them backstage, their big moment, and then...
I came here to tell you.
Yes, sir.
Stop emailing me. This is a restraining order. Stop sending me nude photos.
Yeah, that happened. And then Josh Groban,
Throngs of screaming teenagers. Don't do it for Josh Groban. No. Josh Groban loves a blousy alcoholic.
Oh, wow.
What the hell? Anyway, we end the episode on a positive note as Kurt finally comes out to Mercedes, and she's the first person he's ever come out to, and Mercedes is very supportive, so thumbs up. Episode 4, Preggers. So Kurt may have come out to Mercedes, but he definitely hasn't come out to his dad, while his dad walks in on him practicing a dance, and so pretends he was actually doing conditioning work for the football team.
Totally, Kurt's on the football team now.
Yes, he's made up that he's on the football team. Well, technically Brittany said it, and now he has to go along with it, but his dad asked to go to his next game.
So one of you two is girlfriend? but I'm not ready to be exclusive just yet.
I know he's gay, but you can't just do that. Terry then tells her sister she has a secret.
Is the baby black?
No. But she tells her sister the actual secret, and her sister says the solution is...
We're gonna have to get you a baby.
Then guess what? Sue gets a slot on the local news channel.
You can't strike children on their bare buttocks with razor-sharp bamboo sticks. Well, to them I say, yes, we can. And that's how Sue sees it.
Okay. Anyway, back to Kurt, and Finn somehow manages to get him onto the football team, and he's wearing, yet again, another horrific outfit. But the kicker for the team is 0 for 12 or something like that, so Ken says the next player who can kick the football over the posts is now the kicker, and guess who goes first? Oh, anyway, Quinn then casually drops this bombshell.
I'm pregnant.
Yes, the president of the celibacy club is pregnant, and she says it's Finn's, even though they never, so how is that possible? Well, according to Quinn, it's because they were in a hot tub, and Finn, well, We then go from that bombshell to Sandy showing off his doll collection to Sue. Nice.
Boy, the only thing missing from this place is a couple dozen bodies limed and rotting in shallow graves under the floorboards.
Please.
But why is Sue at Sandy's? Well, it's because she's there to offer him full control of the art program at school, but how can she do that? Sandy's not actually allowed within 50 yards of children because, he groped someone. Well, Sue has threatened Figgins with releasing this clip.
Vascular embolisms are a serious hazard on long-distance flights.
And yes, somehow that's enough for a head teacher to let a child abuser back at school. But also, why is Sue doing this? Well, Sandy also doesn't like the Glee Club because obviously he got kicked out from it, and so they plan to ruin it by running a musical which will steal their star, Rachel. Rachel obviously auditions, gets the main role, and quits Glee. Back to, that casual Quinn baby bombshell, and Finn tells Will about it, and Will then tells Terry, and well, Terry needs a baby, Quinn doesn't want one, the stars are aligning. Finn then also tells Puck about the baby, who seems shocked, and then he reveals this.
Who's the daddy? I just think it's kind of weird if it's Finn, since you told me you were a virgin when we did it.
Yeah, this episode is full of bombshells, because Puck actually was the one that did it with Quinn, even though she's his best friend's girlfriend. Although, to be fair, we have seen he's already not a great friend. But anyway, Puck says he wants to take care of it. Quinn is panicking, she runs away, gets in a car, and guess who's there? Yes, Terry is there, just like an MI5 agent or something.
What do you want from me?
But now it's time for the first football match with Kurt. And man, I wish English schools had stadiums. Would it just have fields, like barely even goals with nets, let alone a freaking stadium? But anyway, the football team are losing, and then guess what? They do a dance routine on the pitch, score a touchdown, and level the scores. So of course, that means Kurt has the chance to kick to win. He does his little dance, converts, and they win. Yay. So Kurt's dad is proud of him and all that, and so Kurt decides this is the time to come out. And his dad's quite traditional, but he's kind of okay with it and says he's not totally in love with the idea, but if that's who he is, then that's fine. And yeah, obviously he didn't need to say anything about, not being in love with it, but still a pretty decent reaction from someone who was reserved about it, I guess. And that's pretty much it for this bombshell episode, but quickly before we end it, Puck, Mike Chang, and some other random guy who we never know the name of from the football team joined the Glee Club. Episode 5, The Road's Not Taken. Okay, so a lot has happened in the first 4 episodes, so I'm going to play the recap the show does just to keep you up to date.
Here's what happened last week. Quinn told Finn
I'm pregnant.
but she didn't tell him that he's not the father. Puck is.
Sup, MILF?
Can you believe that?
Wow.
But that's not the only baby drama. Terry says she's pregnant, but really she's faking, and Mr. Schuster doesn't know.
Oh my God.
Also, Rachel quit the Glee Club because Sue got Sandy to come back to direct a musical. And that's what you missed on Glee.
Okay, anyway, we kick off with Rachel getting interviewed by the school paper, and well, the guy says the only way the play will get a good review is if she shows him her bra. But the Glee Club are missing the strong lead of Rachel. Not sure why they can't use Mercedes, but okay. But this means Will reaches out to an old student who used to be in the Glee Club, and this woman, April, rejoins the Glee Club even though she's surely at least 30. So how was this allowed? Well, technically she never graduated. Is that a thing? I'm not sure. But it also means she's taking classes with children. So seeing as she's, 30, the Glee Club aren't convinced, so Will asks her to try and win them over. And how's she gonna do this? Well, she wins over Kurt with some muscle magazines. She teaches Mercedes and Tina to steal things between their legs. And then she, I think, has sex with the football team? Like, literal children? I mean, maybe I've read that wrong, but Christ, that's insane. And then Kurt turns up to school the next day looking like this and throws up on Emma. So Emma tells Will about Kurt being drunk and how she thinks it might have had something to do with April. Anyway, Finn, though, is trying to get Rachel to come back to Glee, and so he takes her bowling, and when they're there, she kisses him, and that convinces her to say she's going to rejoin. Oh, and then bombshell, Puck tells the rest of the Glee Club Quinn is pregnant, but doesn't reveal he's the actual father. This obviously annoys Rachel because she thinks that Finn's the father, and so she leaves the club once again and rejoins the musical. However, this time with the musical, she has full control of it because Sue got mad at Sandy for writing himself into the play as Queen Cleopatra.
You know, when I heard Sandy wanted to write himself into a scene as Queen Cleopatra, I was aroused, then furious.
Anyway, Glee then have their first performance in front of a crowd, but April's drunk when they do it.
Sweetheart, we've got something right on.
Yep, just kissing a child again. Anyway, she does somehow manage to perform, and she does really well, but Will still kicks her out afterwards for being drunk. And then guess what happens? Rachel quits the play and rejoins Glee. Wow. Episode 6, Vitamin D. Okay, so Sue decides she wants to completely destroy Will's life in order to destroy Glee. And so she tells Terry Will is cheating on her with Emma and suggests Terry should apply for the job of school nurse. I mean, obviously Will hasn't actually cheated on her, but he's getting close. But that does also happen to be a great coincidence the school nurse position is open. I wonder if anything happened. Yep, the school nurse just casually gets put in a coma by Sue. What? So Terry does apply for the job, and somehow Figgins employs her on the fact she has first aid training. That's literally it, and she gets the job. But I wonder how the underqualified Terry's going to do. Well, we get to find out because she gets her first job because Finn is feeling tired, so he goes to see her. And well, Terry gives him pseudoephedrine, which she says she used back in college to keep her alert. Finn uses it and his energy levels are now through the roof. He's literally gone crazy. So he gives it to the rest of the guys in Glee and they're also now crazy and they perform really well. So what is this magical pseudoephedrine? Well, as Terry says, it's the stuff they use in decongestants to make them not drowsy. So I was wondering whether or not you can actually buy them and if they have the same effect they have on the show. And I can tell you, yes, you can buy this over the counter. And yes, apparently according to someone on Reddit who accidentally took 4 in one go, they do make you hyper. So should the show be promoting this? Probably not, because they don't really show any of the side effects. And I obviously do not recommend you doing this, okay? Do not do this. There are going to be side effects. That being said, I do kind of want to try it. If it makes me perform as well as they do, yeah. But don't, okay? I'm joking. I am joking. Right? Don't do this. I think. Anyway, Ken then goes to see Terry as he's worried about Emma and Will, understandably. Remember, Ken and Emma are dating, but Terry and Ken agree to put a stop to it, and Terry says Ken should propose to Emma. Remember, they've only been dating for like a couple of days. He obviously says no because he doesn't want to get rejected, but Terry drugs him and gets him to do it.
Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, this is happening. This is a dream.
Emma Pillsbury, this is not an engagement ring.
Oh, thank goodness.
No, I mean it is, but it's more than that. It's a promise. Look, Emma, I know you have this thing about being clean. No, I can't promise to pick my underwear or squeegee the shower door, but I can promise to keep your life clean of sadness and loneliness and any other dark clouds that might float into it.
Oh, he's such a cutie. I'd say yes to him, but we don't find out what Emma says just yet. Oh, and then Terry claims more drug victims because Rachel gets jealous of the boys performing so well on the drug, and so she goes to get some for herself and the girls. Anyway, if you remember back to last episode, remember Quinn having her baby and Terry, meeting up with her MI5 style, wanting to get it? Well, Quinn now agrees to give her baby to Terry. I'm sure that plan will go perfectly and have no flaws in it at all. But what about the proposal? Well, Emma goes to Ken and agrees to marry him as long as they live apart, don't see each other after school, and keep the marriage a secret. Sounds like my sort of marriage. But now, sadly, Terry's reign of drugging children comes to an end because Figgins finds out and sacks her. understandably. But how did Figgins find out? Well, because Howard, that guy who works in sheets and things with Terry, got arrested for buying loads of the drugs on behalf of Terry. Obviously, this whole ordeal looks pretty bad on Will, and so Figgins decides Glee should have a co-director, Sue Sylvester. Episode 7, Throwdown. So, Sue, in her attempt to destroy the Glee Club, attempts to split it in half. How? Well, by telling the ethnic minorities in the club that Will discriminates against them, which he kind of does. Let's be honest, if you're not Finn or Rachel, you're kind of screwed.
Wheels. Gay kid. Come on, move it. Asian. Other Asian.
Anyway, Quinn then finds out her baby's going to be a girl. This is a bit of a problem for Terry because, remember, she told Will it's a boy. Anyway, somehow the creepy school paper guy finds out about Quinn having a baby and tells Rachel he's going to publish the story. But Rachel, for some reason, is actually nice to Quinn because she gives this creepy guy a pair of her underwear to stop him running the story.
Tell that Quinn girl not to vaccinate in the hospital. I'm pretty sure those shots made my kids stupid.
Well, I guess Glee was ahead of its time. I'm joking, okay? Anyway, Will's starting to get a bit, I wouldn't say suspicious, but just finds it a bit weird how he hasn't been able to go to any of Terry's baby checkups. So he tells her he is going to the next one. Oh dear. Oh, and then remember how Sue split the Glee Club in half? Well, Will now has a plan to hit back at her.
Where are my Cheerios?
Coach Sylvester, they're not academically eligible. Mr. Schuster flunked them.
Yeah, you see, in order to take part in extracurricular clubs, you have to be doing well academically. So Will decides to fail the Cheerio students he has in his Spanish classes. What? You can't do that, Will, okay? Like, what the hell? Well, maybe I was too harsh on Will, because it actually turns out...
Since 1992, 95% of your Cheerios should have flunked Spanish, and I, for one, am not going to be a part of it anymore.
Oh, Will, we all know about your devotion to that dying language.
Dying language?
Let me...
Oh, okay, so that makes it fine. Oh, wait, no, it doesn't, because it actually means Will hasn't been doing his job as a teacher for the last however many years. He's just been passing them for some reason, not marking their work clearly. Like, whatever way you spin this, Will is an idiot. Ugh. Anyway, Finn comes up with the name Drizzle for his child. Speaking of his child, which is actually going to be Puck's child, maybe. Remember Terry has her dilemma. Well, she goes to see the doctor beforehand and bribes him not to tell Will she hasn't got a baby. Surely that won't work.
I'm just so happy.
Oh wait, it worked, of course, because this place in Ohio is mental seemingly. Well, that checks out. And then totally unrelated, for some reason, Sue decides she can't be bothered with Glee anymore, so she steps down as Glee co-director. But this is as long as she gets their set list in advance for sectionals.
Why do I feel like I'm about to fall through a trapdoor into a pit of fire?
Because you don't trust me.
So Sue, she's been kind of nice now, maybe. Oh wait, she makes the creepy news guy run the story that Quinn is pregnant. Episode 8, Mash Up. Oh my god, finally another slushie for the slushie count, up to 4. This time not for Rachel though, for Finn. Yeah, so Quinn and Finn aren't the popular kids anymore due to Glee and the pregnancy coming out. Anyway, Will agrees to give Emma and Ken dancing lessons for their wedding, which Ken, well, he knows they have a thing, so not sure why he'd want Will to do that, but okay. Oh, and then another horrible Will rap.
A chick walks by and you wish you can sex a... A chick walks by and you wish you can sex a...
Whoa. Yeah, he did that to a student. Oh my god. And then the immediate next scene is another horrible Will performance, this time as part of Emma's practice, and oh my god. Oh my god, what, saying that to someone's fiance whilst you have a pregnant wife? What the Jesus in Christ is this guy?
Check it out.
And then to round that out, he like drags her to the ground on top of him, and Ken sees. Aww. Anyway, another twist. This is getting out of hand now, but Rachel and Puck are practicing and then decide to make out, and Puck says it reminds him of his family's traditional screening of Schindler's List whilst eating Chinese. What? What the hell is that? But whilst they're doing this, Rachel is actually just imagining he's Finn, so they break up after 1 minute of being together. Oh, and then another one for the slushie count because Quinn and Finn wear sunglasses to be cool again and get multiple slushies. So yeah, in a totally unrelated turn of events, this random guy Rod from the TV station asks Sue on a date, ooh la la, and after their one date, she tells Will she's in love. Oh, and then a couple more slushies. Puck gets slushies, number 6, and then Finn slushies Kurt. Well, Kurt actually slushies himself so the football team don't beat up Finn. But some sad news. Sue then sees Rod getting off with the other news presenter, and it breaks her heart. So Sue, in her rage, boots off Quinn from the Cheerios for being pregnant. Nice. And then to round out this absolute mess of an episode, Will says he's never been hit by a slushie, so the Glee Club give him one. Number 8. Episode 9, Wheels. The main plot of this episode is the Glee Club raising money for a bus, which accommodates wheelchairs for their upcoming sectionals. So, to do this, they have a bake sale, and Puck makes the cakes edibles by buying weed from Sandy. Of course he does. But this helps him to raise enough money, and there's even some left over, which Puck gives to Quinn to try to prove he can take care of the baby. Speaking of Quinn and Puck, things are starting to go on between them because they have a bit of a moment when baking, and Finn actually walks in on them, starts getting a bit suspicious, and then they have a massive fight. You also might be wondering, why are they fighting in wheelchairs? Well, as part of making Artie feel more included this week, Will's making them all spend the whole week in wheelchairs. We're then actually introduced to a new character who we don't see a huge amount of in season 1, but she's pretty prominent in later seasons, and it's Brittany's friend Becky, who then auditions for the Cheerios, and she gets in. And then randomly, Sue gives a check to Figgins for 3 new wheelchair ramps. But why is Sue being nice and actually inclusive? Well, we find out the reason for this is because she actually has a sister, Jean, who also has Down syndrome. And then to round out the episode, we get a sort of bombshell. Not really, but Tina kisses Artie and reveals to him that she's been faking having a stutter, and Artie feels really let down and says they can't be together because he thought they had something in common. Episode 10, Ballad. So this week on Glee, they learn about love songs and they all get randomly assigned a partner to sing one with. And wow, this is a horrifically creepy episode. So Finn gets Kurt, Tina gets Other Asian, which means that's what Will wrote. Of course he did. But because there's an odd number of people, Will puts his name in the hat and gets Rachel. Yeah, that's right. A teacher is going to be singing a love song with a student. Well, you never fail to surprise me. So Rachel and Will perform, and Will's face the entire time is mental because Rachel looks lovingly into his soul. Because yes, this episode, Rachel develops a crush on Mr. Shu. Did Mr. Shu write this?
Wow. I've never noticed this before because he's always trying to destroy my career, but Mr. Shu has really pretty eyes.
Okay, on a different note, Quinn's dad invites Finn over for dinner. We'll get back to that later in the episode. But of course, back now to Will and Rachel, and we learn this.
It's happening. Again.
Yeah, of course, this isn't the first time this has happened. So Will tells us the story of Susie Pepper, and she wasn't even the first.
Susie Pepper wasn't the first schoolgirl crush, but she was the hardest.
Right, but yes, this Susie Pepper was obsessed with him and gave him gifts and would ring him in the middle of the night, to which Terry's response is amazing.
Listen, you little psycho, this is Will's wife. And if I don't get enough sleep, my antidepressants won't work, and then I'll go crazy and I'll kill you.
Terry.
Stop calling.
I love her, just casually threatening to kill a student. That's what you should do, Will. Anyway, Will tells us the rest of the story, and he says that he told Susie to stop, and this led to her eating the world's hottest pepper, and she had to go to hospital and was put in a coma for 3 days. Because, right, that makes complete sense. Away from that weird story, Finn then says he can't sing the love song with Kurt because he's not gay. I'm not really sure how singing makes you gay, but then he thinks of his child, and that makes him able to sing with Kurt. And then Finn is singing in his room to the sonogram, and his mum walks in, and so yep, now Finn's mum knows. Back to the main funny thing in this episode, Rachel and Will, and they meet up to practice their ballad, which in itself is weird as hell, but Will, in an attempt to make Rachel unobsessed with him, sings a Don't Stand So Close to Me / Young Girl mashup.
Really? Listen. Okay.
But it just results in this. Yeah, Rachel takes the message of the song as she's very young, and it's hard for Will to stand close to her. Will, maybe just tell her like a normal human being? And then, oh my God, Will gets home and Rachel is there? What the hell? Yeah, Terry let her in because she realised Rachel is in love with Will, so she'll do anything I say, so Terry makes her cook and clean for them. Will is actually responsible and puts a stop to this and takes her home, and then Rachel starts singing to Will in the car. Anyway, if you can believe it, more drama as Puck in a rant reveals to Mercedes he's the father of Quinn's child, and then another crazy event. Remember how Finn was invited for dinner at Quinn's? Well, when he's there, he decides to sing "You're Having My Baby" to Quinn, and so obviously Quinn's parents aren't dumb and find out.
You're having my baby.
Great job, Finn. Although, to be fair, they did need to find out at some point. But this singing thing does make it look like it was like a planned child. Anyway, Quinn's parents are not happy, and her dad actually kicks her out. Anyway, back to the thing I'm sure you're all dying to find out about, the Rachel Will debacle. And guess what? Susie Pepper manages to get rid of Rachel's crush on Will by telling her how it's just never going to happen, and she apologises to him, and it's over. It's quite an anticlimactic end. Episode 11, Hairography. So Puck steals a book on raising a baby and gives it to Quinn, and Quinn now starts reconsidering whether she wants to stay with Finn because maybe Puck, the actual father, might be better. So she hatches a plan to get Finn to fall in love with Rachel, and this involves Kurt restyling her. So Rachel goes to Kurt for the makeover, but while she's there, she tells him she loves Finn. But remember, Kurt loves Finn as well. So now Kurt decides, I'm going to try and restyle you to the opposite of what Finn would want. And then, bombshell, Quinn tells Terry she's now keeping the baby. Terry is screwed. I mean, let's face it, she was screwed before, but still, disaster. I think if I was in her situation, I'd probably maybe fake a miscarriage or something like that. Or maybe actually just be a normal human being and like actually tell Will, oh, I'm not pregnant anymore. But there's options, but anyway, still, Terry is panicking, and her sister says, relax, Quinn will eventually give you the baby. And to make sure this happens, she lets Quinn babysit her children because she thinks they're horrible, and so hopefully Quinn will realise she doesn't want a child. So they ask Quinn, and she decides to invite Puck to babysit with her, not Finn. And speaking of Finn, he actually did kind of like Rachel's new look, and he goes around hers, where now she's dressing like she's from Greece.
I need to be honest with you. I'm really uncomfortable right now, and I'm gonna say this as nicely as I possibly can, but you look like a sad clown hooker.
Ouch, but he tries to justify it by saying, I like how you look normally. But now back to Puck and Quinn babysitting, and they struggle to begin with, but then sing a song to them, and suddenly they're amazing parents because seemingly that's all it takes. So it looks like Puck and Quinn might have become a thing now. However, Puck and Santana already had a thing going, and so Santana confronts Quinn about taking her man and says that the whole time they were babysitting, Santana and Puck were sexting. So Quinn then confronts Puck about the sexting, and Puck says he's got needs, and so Quinn decides, actually, I don't want a baby anymore, I'm going to give it back to Terry. So now Quinn's left Puck, doesn't want the baby, so she goes back to Finn and asks him if they can be in love again. What? Just pretending she wasn't about to leave him for his best friend, who she's already cheated on him with, and is having his baby. Episode 12, Mattress. Okay, this episode is a big one. So it kicks off with Emma forgetting sectionals are on the same day as her wedding, and then Sue appears looking like this and reveals she's had an eye lift and had her tear ducts removed as she doesn't use them. Anyway, back to the juicy stuff. So the Glee Club are cast as actors for a local mattress advert, and they perform a musical number for it.
Come on down to Mattress Land! Come on down to Mattress Land!
But then, the big moment. So Will is digging around at home for a tie square, and he stumbles upon this.
It's a pregnancy pad. They have them at the maternity stores for trying on clothes so you can see how you're going to look when you're showing. Kendra stole it from me so I could see if any of her old clothes would fit me.
Will is not having it. He demands Terry to pick up her shirt and, oh my God, goes kind of scary. But he finds out.
I loved you, Terry. I really loved you.
I'm so sorry, Will.
But yeah, Terry then admits he would have taken Quinn's baby, and Will walks out on her. And look, I know she's crazy, but I can't help but feel really sad for Terry in this moment. Like, she's so desperate for him to stay, and she went through all this for him, and yes, it's not the right thing to do, and it's completely messed up, but oh, Terry, you'll always have my heart. So after walking out, Will then goes to sleep at the school, and what the hell, there's loads of mattresses there, because as payment for that ad, the Glee Club got 12 mattresses. Doesn't make any sense, but okay, it's actually kind of perfect because Will can sleep on one of them.
All I want is just one day a year where I'm not visually assaulted by uglies and fatties.
Anyway, then the commercial after one of how Sue sees it is, of course, the mattress commercial, and Sue, ironically, sees it, and she tells Figgins. But what's the point of telling Figgins? Well, because it disqualifies them from sectionals. By being paid for it, yes, in mattresses, it technically makes them professionals. Most stupid ass logic ever.
I'm thinking about leaving my wife.
Well, I didn't see that one coming at all.
Yep, Will just brings that out of nowhere. But surely they can just return the mattresses. Well, no, remember, Will slept on one of them. I mean, side point, why couldn't he have just slept on it over the plastic? Like, if I saw a random mattress, I wouldn't rip it open even if I was desperate to sleep on it. I would just sleep over the plastic. It's not my mattress. I'm not just going to rip it open. But whatever, more stupid technicalities as Will determines that officially only he took the payment, not the club. So only he's disqualified from sectionals. Great. Episode 13. Sectionals. Okay, quickly, another recap just to keep you up to date.
So here's what you missed last week. Will found out Terry's fake pregnant. Yikes. Will left and he's sleeping at school. And he's disqualified from sectionals because he slept on a mattress. And Quinn's pregnant, but Puck's the father, not Finn. Which is awkward since Quinn's been living at Finn's house since her parents kicked her out. And Sue gave the competition Will's set list for sectionals. And Ken and Emma's wedding is that same day, so Will can't go to the wedding and Emma can't go to sectionals. And Ken just seems kind of angry. And that's what you missed on Glee.
So, immediately into the episode, Rachel starts suspecting something going on between Puck and Quinn using her psychic skills. And of course, remember, Mercedes knows about Puck and Quinn, and guess what? She's already told everyone else in the group, and they all agree they gotta stop Rachel and Finn from finding out. Oh, and we also learn Brittany and Santana are having sex. Anyway, Emma then tells Will she'll be able to make it to sectionals even though it's on the same day as her wedding. No idea how and why that's important, but okay. Ugh, and then Will acts all cringe and acts as though he can't talk to them at all before sectionals because of his disqualification. Like, who the hell's gonna know? But then some more big news because Rachel decides to tell Finn about her hunch about Puck and Quinn.
I have to tell you something.
Yes, oh my god, Finn has found out Puck is the father of his child. Well, kind of. Rachel tells him it as if it's fact, even though she didn't know for sure. But Finn beats up Puck and walks out on the Glee Club. I mean, to be fair, he could have done much worse and been completely justified. Well, okay, not much more, but wow, imagine how mad you'd be if this happened to you. But somehow, amidst all this, it's now finally time for sectionals. Remember them, yeah. And because Finn isn't coming, the club need one more member, and of course they choose the creepy news guy. And then some more just idiot Will. So he acts all emotional, sending them on their way, but like, surely he could just sit in the audience, but you know, it's cringy Will, as usual. So they get to the venue and they find out they're performing last. But guess what? Remember how Sue asked for their set list when she quit as co-director? Well, guess what? She's leaked it to the other clubs. And so when they perform, the songs they're performing are exactly the same songs Glee were going to perform. They're freaking out. And remember right to the start, if they don't get to the next round, regionals, their auditorium space goes to Alcoholics Anonymous. So Will finds out and decides he's going to be the hero because he manages to convince Finn to go and perform. And guess what? It's now time for Glee to perform. Rachel kicks them off with Don't Rain on My Parade, which she's apparently been preparing since she was 4.
Get ready for me, love, 'cause I'm a comer.
They then perform their group number, and honestly, it's kind of boring. But then we go to the judges. And the judges are, drumroll please, the 5th runner-up from Miss Ohio 2006.
They weren't singing, they were like honking, and everyone was crying, and I was like, get off the stage, you're terrible.
Anyway, Rod from TV, remember him?
And those Jane Addams girls had it going on in all the right places.
And then some random vice comptroller, which is like an accountant or something, but she's filling in for her husband.
I was at Altamont Speedway in '69. I actually saw that guy get stabbed. Can't get that image out of my noggin to this day.
I seriously don't know what either one of you are talking about.
Right, anyway, so they waffle on and eventually come to a decision, but we have to wait to find out the winner. Because first, OMG, we see Terry and Will finally interact again, and Terry says she's been seeing a therapist, but Will tells her he's completely lost feelings for her. Will then goes to Emma's wedding, and oh, no one's there because Ken called off the wedding because he couldn't go through with it. Poor Ken. The stranded bride Emma then says she's gonna leave the school because she can't see Will or Ken every day. Will stops her and says, "I've just left my wife, don't go." But Emma says, "Yes, Will, exactly. You've just left your wife. It's been like 10 seconds. How can you move on so quick?" And also, especially, from someone as good as Terry. Oh, and then another bombshell, because Figgins then removes Sue from being head of the Cheerios for leaking the Glee Club set list and suspends her from the school. But I know what you're all thinking. What happened at sectionals? Well, we finally find out. They won. Yes, of course they did. And wow, they really revealed it in the least suspenseful way possible. But still, they won, and so now their prep for regionals starts. But you thought that was going to be the end of this bombshell episode? No, it's not over just yet, because Emma is just about to leave the school forever, but Will chases after her. Episode 14, Hell O. Oh, guess who's back after such a long break? Yes, Sue is back and head of the Cheerios, and how? Well, she drugged Figgins, put him in bed with her, and threatened to tell his wife they slept together if she wasn't reinstated. Wow.
So here's what's gonna happen. As of right now, I am reinstated, or I will tell your wife and the entire congregation of the Cornerstone Bible Way Church of our sexual congress.
But yeah, Rachel and Finn are sort of now dating, and also Ken has become depressed since Emma left him.
He pulled a Jessica Simpson. You know, lost his fiancée, gained 40 pounds, and stopped showering. And everyone acts like it's totally normal.
Sue then does this.
There. You no longer confuse me with your she-male looks.
And Emma and Will are also now dating.
I could just lean over and kiss you if I want to.
Yuck. Anyway, Sue then tells Santana and Brittany the position of head cheerleader is up for grabs, obviously with Quinn out. And to get it, they need to go after Finn to make Rachel jealous and rip the Glee Club apart. So the two of them ask Finn to go out on a date with both of them, which he says yes to. And this leads to Finn telling Rachel he doesn't want to be her boyfriend because he wants to explore his rock star side, aka shagging. Rachel is mad, understandably, but she then goes to a music store, I think, and the star of rival Glee Club, Vocal Adrenaline, who they're going to meet at regionals, Jesse St. James, sees her, and he's, well, basically the male version of Rachel.
Your rendition of Don't Rain on My Parade was flawed. You totally lack Barbara's emotional depth. But you're talented.
We then see Finn, Santana, and Brittany's date.
Hey guys, come on, don't make fun of Rachel. It's kind of cool.
Finn, that's mean. You know what, actually, would you mind waiting in the car? And leave your credit card. Did you know that dolphins are just gay sharks?
Finn, after that disastrous date, tells Rachel he actually only wants to date her, but it's too late because she reveals, oh my god, she's now dating Jesse St. James. Anyway, Emma and Will have a date at his house, and she reveals to him that she's never been intimate with anyone before, and so they need to slow down. In response to this normal thing, Will goes to see the head of Vocal Adrenaline and, oh my god, starts getting it on with her. Will, what is going on?
I'm kind of a mess.
We can tell. Anyway, the rest of the Glee Club then tell Rachel she's got to break up with Jesse because, you know, he's a rival, and if she doesn't, she's out of the club, and so Rachel leaves. But then obviously, like loads of the plot points in this show, it means nothing because Rachel then tells Finn she's ended with Jesse and she's back on the team. Episode 15, The Power of Madonna. This is a weird episode. So it kicks off with Sue telling the Cheerios to act like Madonna and date younger men. Oh, and then we also find out Rachel was lying last episode about breaking up with Jesse. They're still together. Anyway, Brittany then takes Sue's advice a little bit too seriously as she says she's dating a 7-year-old. What the hell? And then she tells Santana to take Finn's virginity. Right.
Guess who I'm dating? Wes Brody. He's super cute. He plays soccer with my sister. He's 7.
Anyway, so Will sees the Cheerios doing a Madonna routine, and he's like, oh, we should do some Madonna, and so the Glee Club do some Madonna numbers. However, Sue gets angry at Will for copying her and, you know, makes fun of his hair, and this leads to Will hitting back with probably the cringiest thing he's done yet.
By the way, how's the Florence Henderson look working out for you? Oh, maybe you should try a new setting on your Flowbee.
Oh, snap! Oh, snap!
And Sue goes mad. And then Sue reveals her parents were Nazi hunters. She's only 29 and she picks on Will's hair because she ruined her own hair with bleach, and so she's only jealous. And then to cap that off, she then sings Vogue, which is actually pretty cool, even if it is a bit weird to see Sue singing.
Will Schuster, I hate you.
Anyway, remember how Santana wants to take Finn's virginity? Well, he accepts, and at the same time, Rachel then tells Jesse she's ready to get it on, and Emma tells Will she also wants to get it on. So they all attempt it, and Finn, I think, does go through with it, but didn't like it. Rachel realises she isn't ready, and Emma also realises she isn't ready. Jesse then, whoa, just like that, switches schools and joins McKinley High because he's moved in with his uncle and he wants to be closer to Rachel. Definitely not something dodgy going on. Oh, and then also Mercedes and Kurt are now in the Cheerios. Don't know when that happened. Episode 16, Home. So Sue gets named cheerleading coach of the last 2,000 years, and she tells Mercedes to lose 10 pounds or she's off the Cheerios. So Mercedes asks Santana and Brittany how they stay so skinny, and they reveal they drink the Sue Sylvester Master Cleanse.
Water, maple syrup for glucose, lemon for acid, cayenne pepper, irritate the bowels, and a dash of Ipecac, a vomiting agent. I haven't had a solid meal since 1987.
And that's the only thing Sue has apparently eaten since 1987. So, you know what? I want to give it a try. So, let's do it.
Okay.
So, I've got all the ingredients here in front of me. Apart from one, and that is obviously Ipecac, the vomiting agent. I do not have that. One, because I'm not going to be a sort of YouTube channel where I abuse myself for views. And two, maybe more importantly, it's been discontinued since 2010. So yeah, even if I wanted to get my hands on it, I couldn't, but we've got the rest of the ingredients here. And yeah, I think this is going to taste very weird indeed. So I've got the water in a pink shake. I feel like Sue would approve. And then let's start off with the maple syrup. Okay, I think this is gonna, I feel like it should actually taste quite nice. We'll put, I think that's maybe quite a lot to be honest, but oh well. Got the lemon, we'll give that a squeeze. I think that should be good. And I think that in itself wouldn't taste too bad. It's just the pepper, which yeah, is not gonna taste great. So let's try and get a bit of this in to irritate the bowels or whatever it was that Sue said. I think that's a good amount and it's looking grim. That is looking disgusting. Yeah, okay, let's shake it and give it a taste. Okay, here we go. Okay, how's it looking? Oh, it's foaming. It doesn't smell too bad. Okay, here we go. That's actually quite nice. That's actually nice. I mean, I wouldn't ever have it again, but Sue, the Master Cleanse, wow. I can see how you've lived on it for like 30 years. Okay, it's been about 20 minutes since I had it, and I do have to say, my stomach is feeling very weird indeed. Not like sick, but just a bit like, ooh, you know, like, ooh, it's feeling weird. So, yeah, maybe not quite as good as I initially said it was. Anyway, back to the plot. Finn's mum then tries to sell his dad's chair, but Finn's like, no, it's not for sale. His dad actually died when he was younger. And then his mum reveals she's seeing someone, and that someone is Bert Hummel, Kurt's dad. Oh, and then we see the dumbass April Rhodes again. I'm just going to ignore her.
I just had a sex dream about you.
We then find out Kurt was the reason his and Finn's parents got together. And so, yes, Kurt thinks that by getting their parents together, he might be able to get with Finn. Yes, his what would be stepbrother. But the Hummels and Hudsons had their first meal together, and Bert gets on really well with Finn actually, and even gets him tickets for an NFL game. And this actually upsets Kurt quite a bit because Bert doesn't act like that with him. Oh, and then Mercedes faints after having the diet, so maybe I shouldn't have tried that. Anyway, I know I said I was going to ignore her, but I am now going to have to talk about April because some guy dies and she inherits $2 million and buys the entire auditorium for the Glee Club. So does that surely now mean it doesn't matter the place at regionals, right? Surely, but they never mention this again and still go about it as though if they don't place at regionals, Glee is over. So I don't understand. Episode 17, Bad Reputation. So we start off this one with the Glee Club laughing at a video of Sue singing Physical, which Kurt stole from her filing cabinet. Horrible thing to do, but okay. And then even worse, Finn posts it on YouTube. Sue is obviously mad and tells Figgins she's going to file a lawsuit against the Glee Club as the video has over 170,000 comments, not just views or likes, comments. That is insane. But then she totally spins things around because then she tries to be nice, so she gives free therapy sessions to Emma. Very random. But during this free session, she tells Emma that Will has been kissing other women, the head of Vocal Adrenaline, and he sort of had a thing with April last episode. But how does Sue know this? Well, she's gotten Will's landlord to put baby monitors in his house. Of course she has, but then Sue makes Emma go and confront Will, and she does this.
Oh, hey, can you just give us a sec?
Actually, no. Well, I can't give you a sec. You're just gonna have to reschedule your heavy petting session with Mrs. Carlisle for a later time.
Emma?
I beg your pardon. I was just telling Mr. Schuster about how my husband recently died.
Wow. Getting him fresh off the rebound now, aren't you? Amazing. Nobody's safe. Nobody is safe.
Emma tells everyone in the staff room about Will kissing the other women and calls him a slut.
You're a slut, Will. You're a slut. You're a slut. You're a slut. You're a slut. Everybody should know that. And you should know that I'm through with you. I'm very sorry for your loss.
Well, now everyone knows he's a slut, and this happens.
Let's go in this classroom and pork.
No.
Jesus Christ. Anyway, back to that Sue Physical video, and it now has over 3 million views, and this leads to the actual Olivia Newton-John, yes, the actual one, calling her, and then this happens.
Nice try, and that's a ridiculous accent.
She calls her back and Sue finally believes it's her, and Olivia says she wants Sue to be in a music video with her, and OMG, it actually happens, and it's really cool.
Let's get physical.
Anyway, whilst all that crazy stuff has been happening, Rachel has been attempting to change her reputation as innocent, and so she makes a Run Joey Run music video, but with Puck, Finn and Jesse all as the male love interest. However, they all thought they were going to be the only one in the video. But this leads to Jesse, I think, breaking up with Rachel. We'll come back to that. But in her heartbreak, she sings Total Eclipse of the Heart. And when I was watching this, I was totally expecting Greg Heffley to come in. Does anyone else have that when they hear this song now? Episode 18, Laryngitis. Oh my god, Puck shaved his mohawk. Well, it was actually a dermatologist because he had a mole and his mum got scared. Anyway, somehow this has led to him losing all his popularity and toughness. Yes, just his mohawk. But this means the nerds are able to dump him in the trash.
I'm human garbage.
So in order to regain his popularity, Puck decides he's going to try and date Mercedes.
And I like a girl with curves. You gotta admit, I'm easy on the eyes.
Oh, and Rachel gets sick and loses her voice.
My faith is shaking, but I gotta keep trying.
Never thought the Glee Club would do renditions of Both My Feet Hurt. That's a super niche reference. If anyone gets that, I'll be very impressed. But yeah, remember Bert and Finn getting on well and how it made Kurt sad? Well, Kurt decides he's gonna try and look more masculine, and wow, he looks terrible. And even worse, he tries singing in a deep voice, but Brittany says she finds it hot and she wants to kiss him so she can say she's kissed every guy in school. And obviously, in his attempt to be more masculine, he goes ahead with it and invites her over, and Bert walks in on them. And Kurt is very proud about it.
Dad, you and I have more in common than I would have thought. The flannel, the melon camp, the ladies.
Cool. Oh yeah, Puck manages to get with Mercedes, and so he's cool again and gets payback on the nerds, but Mercedes isn't cool with him doing that, and so she quits the Cheerios. No idea how that's related. Bert then sees Kurt at school and tells him once again he's taking Finn out, and Kurt realises all that work, what did it get him? So yeah, he gives up on his act of being masculine and is himself again, and Bert sees and loves it. Episode 19, Dream On. Oh my god, amazing episode. So Brian Ryan, a former Glee Club member, returns to school as an audit, and we learn he was basically Will's arch nemesis when they were at school together because he got all the girls at school and got all the solos.
What's the matter, Schuster? Cat got your talent?
And in his role as an audit, Brian Ryan says he's probably going to have to, you guessed it, get rid of the Glee Club, of course. But why? Well, he absolutely hates Glee Clubs and in fact runs a show choir conversion group where former survivors, talk about their stories because he basically thinks the Glee Club sets people up for disappointment. Anyway, Jesse finally sees Rachel again, and even though I can swear to you, a couple of episodes ago, they broke up, they apparently didn't. But Rachel, who if you can remember has 2 dads, says she dreams of seeing a mum, or at least finding out who she is. Bit random, but Jesse says he's going to help her, so they look through her old stuff, and then Jesse sneaks out this tape, which says from mother to daughter, and he tries to get her to play it, but now she doesn't want to. Suspicious from Jesse. Anyway, back to Brian and Will, and they go to a bar where they talk about their old days of being in Glee together, and this makes Brian break down in tears, and so Will is like, we should try and resurrect our dreams. So they audition for a local play together, but it turns out they're trying out for the same role.
I was going to sing The Impossible Dream.
Wow, really interesting. So am I.
But then I decided on Aerosmith's Dream On.
Yeah, me too. That's what I'm gonna sing.
Are you kidding me right now?
Is there a problem out here?
Yeah, there's a problem. This guy just stole my song.
I don't know this man. His caretaker just stepped away. I overheard her mention he's a sex offender.
Oh, you're gonna need a caretaker in a second, buddy.
So eventually they have to sing it as a duet, and it's probably the best song in Glee history.
Thank you. We'll let you know.
I've got to say, Will looks so much like John Cena in this. But anyway, Brian, after this, then goes to talk to Sue about her Cheerios budget. And then this happens.
Sue, you're an impressive woman. I can't tell you how much you turn me on right now. You ever heard of the term anger sex?
The only kind I know, Brian.
I should tell you I'm married.
Not a problem for me.
And I'm still cutting half your budget.
Yeah, you win some, you lose some.
Should I lock the door?
No. Got a secret room upstairs. Like Letterman.
Jesus Christ. Anyway, then we get another big bombshell, because then we find out the whole reason Jesse is with Rachel is actually because the coach of Vocal Adrenaline is Rachel's mum, and she's orchestrated this whole thing to be able to get to see Rachel. So that means Jesse doesn't actually like Rachel and is going to go back to Vocal Adrenaline in a week. So yeah, there's a lot to digest there. First of all, the Glee Club at his school sent a student on a mission which involved enrolling in another school and becoming someone's boyfriend. What? And not only that, the student agreed to it, his parents must have agreed to it, and don't forget, it was Rachel's mum. So she wants to become friends with her daughter by manipulating her heart. Nice. But back to Will and Brian, and Will finds out he landed the lead in the play they auditioned for, whilst Brian only got one line. And before that, Brian and Will had sort of become friends, so instead of cutting the Glee Club, he'd actually given him extra funding. But now, Will took his role in the play, so Brian, of course, decides now he's going to cut the Glee Club. Will then gives him his role in the play. I'm not sure if that's allowed. Surely the director would be like, well, no, I didn't give you the role, Brian. But anyway, it somehow works out, and Brian reverses the decision to get rid of the Glee Club. Who would have guessed? Anyway, back to Jesse and Rachel to end out the episode, as Jesse forces Rachel to listen to that tape he planted, and it's a clip of her mum singing, so now Rachel has to find out who it is. Episode 20, Theatricality. Okay, one last recap before we get into this one.
So here's what happened last week. Will's old rival Brian Ryan tried to cancel the club.
You're done here.
Then he was really into it.
I got custom-made jean jackets.
Then he tried to cancel it again.
You think you're helping these kids when all you're doing is setting them up to be jaded and bitter.
Finn's mom's dating Kurt's dad, which was totally part of Kurt's plan to get closer to Finn, who he's always sort of had a crush on.
When will you learn that nothing is impossible when it comes to love?
Artie told Tina what his greatest dream was, then realized that not every dream was achievable. Is that even a word? Achievable? Achievitate? Achievalize?
Okay, you just said like 10 offensive things.
Jesse pushed Rachel to find out who her mom was, and it turns out it's Shelby Corcoran, the coach of Vocal Adrenaline.
I want a look that's so optimistic, it could cure cancer.
Jeez, and that's what you missed on Glee.
So this one kicks off bizarrely. So Tina is called to Figgins' office because her look is apparently goth, and Twilight fever has taken over the school.
This is totally gonna get Robert Pattinson's attention.
Oh, hey.
Yeah, they bite him. I mean, to be fair, he does deserve it, but this leads to Figgins actually believing in vampires. But then, wow, Finn and his mum move in with Kurt and Bert, and Finn is not happy because guess what? He's now sharing a room with Kurt. And then away from that, Glee then sneaking on some Vocal Adrenaline practice, and whilst they're there, Rachel realises that's the person who was singing on that tape. that's my mum. So Rachel and her mum speak for the first time, and then her mum gets a bit freaked out by it all and leaves, and eventually decides they're never going to see each other again. So, wow. That whole Jessie plot was for nothing. Also, side note, I'm sure loads of you already know, but the woman who plays Rachel's mum sang Let It Go. Pretty cool.
Okay.
And then another pretty cool thing, Puck then asks Quinn if they can call their baby Jack Daniels. Yeah.
You're wrong. It's a really good name. It's a rock star name.
You want to name our daughter Jack Daniels? She's a girl.
Anyway, now back to Kurt and Finn, and after moving in together, they have a big falling out. So Kurt has renovated his room for Finn, but Finn doesn't like it and decides to confront Kurt about him evidently liking him, and then says this.
Well, then the first thing that needs to go is that faggy lamp, and then we need to get rid of this faggy couch blanket.
What did you just call him?
Yeah, Bert hears this and isn't happy and says, Finn, you can't stay in my house if you're going to act like that.
You call that nice girl in Cheerios with Kurt, you call her a retard?
Becky, no, she's my friend. She's got Down syndrome. I never call that. That's cruel.
But you think it's okay to come into my house and say faggy?
But that's not what I meant.
I know what you meant. What, you think I didn't use that word when I was your age? I really thought you were different, Finn.
You know what? I love Bert. He's got a silly name. I'll give him that. And I find Kurt annoying at times. But Bert, what a guy. Sticking up for his son like that, I like it.
I love your mom. And maybe this is going to cost me her. But my family comes first. I can't have that kind of poison around.
So Kurt now obviously doesn't want to speak again to Finn, and he walks away down the corridor, but as he is, he's about to get beaten up. Luckily though, Finn comes in and saves the day looking like this, and then the rest of the Glee Club comes back up and they don't beat up Kurt, and Kurt and Finn are friends again. As easy as that. Episode 21, Funk. Wow, okay, so this one kicks off big as Jesse finally tells the Glee Club he's transferred back to Vocal Adrenaline.
I've transferred back to Carmel High, Rachel. I'm sorry that it's come to this, but you guys were awful to me.
Yeah, big news. And then Will smashed his Sue's Regionals trophy. Is that allowed?
You know, for me, trophies are like herpes. You can try to get rid of them, but they just keep coming.
Oh, and then some sad news. Will and Terry sign off on their divorce, although maybe kind of good. Gives me a chance with Terry, eh?
You're still that 16-year-old boy to me. You always will be.
Right. Anyway, Will then says the Glee Club need to hit back at Vocal Adrenaline for, you know, the Jessie thing, and Puck and Finn decide to combine by slashing the tyres of all 26 members of Vocal Adrenaline. And yes, they all have cars even though they're teenagers, and yes, they're all Range Rovers. But of course, this genius plan backfires as Puck and Finn get told they have to pay off the damage. And then for the first time in a while, we see Sandy again, but why? Well, Will wants to buy some weed from him and says he's depressed. Nice. And then he goes to Sue and does this.
Oh, wow.
What?
It's nothing. It's just the way the light hit you just now. You look stunning.
Yeah, Will is trying to flirt with Sue and then sings to her with, okay, this is, you know, Will's done some bad things. This is probably the worst. This performance here is probably the worst thing I've ever seen.
You refuse to put anything before your pride. Tell me that you love me, yeah.
And Sue obviously leaves because that is absolutely horrific.
Too dirty?
I didn't notice. I was bored.
Away from that horrible scene. Oh my god, so Puck and Finn now work at Terry's Sheets and Things store to earn money. And then Terry sees Finn, initially thinks he's Will, and then asks how old he is.
How old are you?
16.
Oh.
Terry, what are you doing?
I thought Jews were supposed to be smart.
And then I have to ask, Sue, what are you doing? Because she writes in her diary, she's in love with Will. That performance from Will was enough to make her fall in love with him. And so Will asks to take her to dinner.
Oh. You know what Wednesday is, right? Hump day.
Christ above Jesus, that is horrific. Horrific, Will. But anyway, Sue goes her date with Will at Breadsticks, and he didn't show up. Yes, this whole thing with Sue was just to be mean to her, just to lead her on. Really nice, Will. Nice. So Sue's all depressed from this, but Will goes and manages to make it up to her, and she gets up and goes and casually wins nationals for the 6th year in a row. As you do. And then when she gets back from nationals, she says to Will he can either have the 6-foot trophy installed in the choir room or kiss her with tongue. Sue.
You know what? I'm not gonna do this. Even your breath stinks of mediocrity.
Yeah, that actually happened. And so the trophy gets installed in the choir room. Oh, and then Jesse, he calls Rachel to meet him in the parking lot. So she goes to see him, and Vocal Adrenaline come out and egg her.
I loved you.
He loved her. She never did anything wrong to him, apart from, I guess, that weird Run Joey Run music video, but even that wasn't that bad. He's acting like she broke his heart or something. Like, you could still love her instead of going and egging her. But this all means that the rivalry between Vocal Adrenaline and New Directions, that's the name of the Glee Club, I haven't really mentioned that yet, but the rivalry is at a boiling point, and that sets us up perfectly for the season finale. Episode 22, Journey to Regionals. So, the finale kicks off with the news that Sue is going to be a judge at Regionals, which Will obviously kicks off about. Oh, and then Emma reveals to Will she's going out with a dentist, and then Rachel kisses Finn. Yeah, it's all happening. Anyway, Will decides they're going to perform the classic Don't Stop Believing, and now it's time for Regionals, where the judges are, drumroll please, Josh Groban, Jesus, Olivia Newton-John, and oh my god, Rod from TV again, and obviously Sue. But the first group are up, and they perform a mashup of Olivia Newton-John and Josh Groban. So it's already got off to a bad start for Glee, but now they're up. They kick off with a Finn and Rachel number, then a group performance, and then Don't Stop Believing. Yes, banger, still prefer their original performance, but this one was still good. So it's all gone well, and they're hyped as they're coming off, and then Quinn's mum comes to see her and asks her to move back in with her, and mid-conversation, Quinn's water breaks, of course it does. And then we see, I think probably one of the weirdest scenes in Glee history is we see Vocal Adrenaline's performance, which is over the top of Quinn giving birth, which, wow, it's weird to watch. Yeah, well, anyway, she gives birth to a completely clean baby. I don't know how that's possible. But yeah, what a miracle, so beautiful, blah, blah, blah. But back to the actual important matter of regionals, and the judges have to decide. And Mr. Groban, after asking Sir she's single, says he liked the Glee Club, but Olivia Newton-John hated them, and then goes in on Sue and says how she's not even a celebrity, and this sparks Sue to actually defend the Glee Club. But they vote, and now it's time for the results.
The 2010 Midwest Regional Runners-Up from Fort Wayne, Indiana, the not at all stupidly named Oral Intensity.
So it's between New Directions and Vocal Adrenaline, and the winners are...
Vocal Adrenaline.
So they come last, and well, that means the end of the Glee Club. Remember, Higgins said that they had to at least place at regional to survive. I mean, still this shouldn't matter because, remember, they own the auditorium, but the show forgets that. So they go back to school all depressed, and Will sees Emma arguing to Fiends about keeping the Glee Club, and Emma tells Will some things are worth fighting for, and so Will then tells her he loves her and then kisses her. Yes, even though she said at the start of the episode she's seeing someone, but not sure if we could expect anything different from Will, to be fair. But then we see Sue did actually vote for them to win at regionals, and she comes to see Will and tells him, even though she hates him, she wants to live in a world of rivalry, and so she told Figgins to give the Glee Club another year. So yes, for like the 1,000th time, the Glee Club is back from the brink. What a surprise. Definitely hasn't been the plot of every episode, and also didn't have any reason to go because the auditorium, I'm not going to forget that. But okay. Anyway, to round out the first series, Will once again sings with them. Great. And then, guess what? Rachel's mum adopts Quinn's baby. Completely random. But yeah, there we go. That is the entire first season of Glee. Wow. A lot to digest there. What are my thoughts on it? Well, It's a really good season. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy, there you go. That's my thoughts. It's really good. Okay, there is more to it than that. But first and foremost, before I get onto what I don't like about it, I want to make it clear I really, really enjoy Glee, especially season 1. I think it's really funny and it is 1,000,000% a show you should watch. It's dumb, yeah. Like, so much of what happens doesn't make sense or is just so random. But I'm not gonna lie, I think that's part of the fun. Obviously though, I do have to highlight the way they handle sensitive issues because quite a lot of people have taken issue with it. But my personal opinion, I would say I do think a lot of it is done in a way that is evidently a joke. So for example, I watched a Watch Mojo video that had an issue with the role of Sandy in the series because obviously he abuses a child and basically gets away with it. My opinion on it is that it's a joke and quite evidently a joke and does add to the entertainment of the series. But obviously though, it is a serious topic and whether you think it's something that can be joked about is personal to everyone. And if you find it offensive or insensitive, I can't tell you you're wrong. And I can understand how someone would find it wrong, but also my opinion is making a joke out of it when it isn't tied to an actual event, like all of this is fiction, I think should be allowed, but obviously I do understand if you don't agree. Another thing this Watch Mojo video highlighted from season 1 as being poorly handled was Quinn's teen pregnancy, and that it didn't show the reality of being pregnant at such a young age. And I actually do agree with this one. Yeah, you never really see much of what Quinn's going through physically. You do mentally, you see quite a lot of her struggles mentally, but physically you don't. And like, she's literally just dancing on stage just minutes before giving birth. And I think that could maybe portray to people that don't know what teen pregnancy can be like, that, oh, they're young, fit, and so it's easier. And that could be harmful when it comes to influencing people's attitudes towards young people who are pregnant. So yeah, I do think that was a flaw and was handled poorly from the show. I think the difference between the Sandy one and other jokes that are in that similar vein and the Quinn one is the Sandy one is quite obviously a joke and it's not trying to raise awareness for something. It's just an outrageous fictional plot point, whereas Quinn's story is like Kurt's, where it's a prominent societal issue that they're trying to shine a light on. I think they handled Kurt's well. I think his and Bert's story is done really well, especially Bert's. I think having an older masculine guy who is having to learn is really good when it comes to influencing audiences' attitudes. But when it comes to Quinn's, I think they massively missed the mark. I think the whole tone of the show is a really difficult one to judge. And just because, say, I'm okay with Will being creepy or Sue putting the nurse in a coma or Terry literally drugging children doesn't necessarily mean it's okay. So yeah, I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts on it. Let me know in the comments, do you think the show handled certain issues poorly or it's offensive? Let me know. I am genuinely interested to find out what people think. In terms of actually critiquing the show, even though, as I've said, I do really like it, I do have some issues, you might say. I think the series could have been quite a bit shorter. It's 22 episodes. It really didn't need to be. Like, quite a few of the middle episodes don't have a lot going on, which affects the plot. I mean, look, they are still funny, and I don't mind how long it is, but it definitely could have been condensed. Also, a lot of the episodes have a very similar plot where, oh no, the Glee Club is a threat, but at the last moment, the day is saved. And that does get a bit repetitive. Like, I know the Glee Club is going to survive. However, I would premise that though by saying I don't think the appeal of the show is necessarily the plot, which sounds silly because how is that possible? But I think the appeal is how messed up and crazy and dramatic and almost unrealistic certain things are, whilst also raising societal issues at the same time. Not actually how coherent the story is. But also, I am not going to forget, April gave them the freaking auditorium. Why did they ignore this happened? But anyway, I love this show. If you want to see me make a similar video for series 2, let me know. Probably going to do it anyway, even if no one tells me to, because I enjoyed making this one, but also you might have realized I haven't mentioned any of the controversies or outside of the show, shall we say, controversies, of which there are many. And that is because I'm actually going to be making an iceberg style video about them pretty soon, so stay tuned for that. And if there's any other Glee content you want to see, let me know as well, because I love this show. So far, in terms of ideas about that, I'm thinking maybe, I don't know, like tier lists of songs, characters, episodes, whatever, and maybe taking a look at the Glee project. I'm not really sure what that is, but I'll take a look at it and see if there's a video to do with that I could potentially make. But any other ideas, let me know. But yeah, thank you for watching this really long video. If you've made it this far somehow, comment below, I don't know, Terry, you are the queen bee. Yeah.
Okay.
If you are new here, please like, subscribe, all that good stuff. But yeah, quickly, just before I end the video, now I'm waffling on, but I just want to say quickly that you should still watch season 1 of Glee, even though I've obviously given away a lot of spoilers, some of the main parts of the plot, but there is so much more to this show, and actually watching it is a whole other experience in itself. So yeah, you should still watch it along with having watched this video. And if you're wondering where you can find it, it's on Disney+. But yeah, I'm going to shut up now. Goodbye. If you ever needed any proof that physical media is better than streaming, have a look at the amount of extras on this DVD, okay? We've got a Glee music jukebox for every disc, we've got a Welcome to McKinley, a Glee music video, full-length audition of Rachel, full-length audition of Mercedes, we've got Fox Movie Channel Presents casting session, I don't know what that is, Deconstructing Glee with Ryan Murphy, Dance Boot Camp, oh my god, I might have to try that, Jane Lynch, a Glee, a what? Have I just said that? A Glee? What? What does that mean? Meet Jane Lynch, things you don't know about Jima, Corey, Amber, Chris, video. This is the way to go, okay? Get this.
I'm not the best dancer in the world, but he's really helped me realize that, I might be better than I think.